If you're watching this and you're over 50 or approaching 50, I need you to know something that nobody told me when I hit this milestone. Turning 50 isn't the beginning of the end, it's the beginning of the best chapter of your life. But here's the thing: nobody prepared me for what this decade would actually look like. The physical changes, the emotional roller coaster, the career shifts, the relationship dynamics, the freedom, the fear, the power, the confusion. So today, I'm making the video I desperately needed when I turned 50. This is everything I wish someone had told me, and everything you need to know to not just survive your 50s, but to absolutely thrive in them. My name is Sarah, and I'm 57 years old. When I turned 57 years ago, I felt completely lost. I remember looking in the mirror on my birthday morning and feeling like I was staring at a stranger. My body felt different, my energy was different, my priorities were shifting, and I had no roadmap for what came next. I felt invisible in some ways, yet more visible in others. I was dealing with perimenopause symptoms that nobody talked about openly: career uncertainty, relationship changes, and this overwhelming sense that society had somehow written me off. But here's what I've learned in these 7 years. 50 is not a death sentence for your dreams, your sexuality, your career, or your adventure. In fact, it's quite the opposite. The statistics show that women over 50 are starting businesses at higher rates than any other demographic. We're getting divorced and finding love again. We're traveling solo, changing careers, going back to school, and redefining what it means to be a woman in the second half of life. Today, I'm going to share with you the 7 game-changing realizations that transformed my 50s from a decade I was dreading into the most empowering time of my life. We're going to talk about your body, your mind, your relationships, your career, your finances, your health, and most importantly, your mindset. Because the woman you become at 50 has the power to be the most authentic, confident, and free version of yourself you've ever been. Your body is not betraying you, it's evolving. Hey, before we continue, let me ask you, have you liked and subscribed to the channel yet? No? Then take advantage now and click the subscribe button below. Oh, and leave a comment with what you think of this video and which city you're watching it from. Your participation is very important to us. It helps our channel grow and bring more content like this. I'm counting on you. Now, let's continue. Let's start with the elephant in the room: perimenopause and menopause. The first thing I wish someone had told me is that the symptoms can start as early as your late 30s or early 40s, and they're not just hot flashes. We're talking about brain fog that makes you forget words mid-sentence, sleep disruption that leaves you exhausted, weight gain that seems to happen overnight, joint pain that makes you feel like you're aging in dog years, mood swings that make you question your sanity, and changes in your skin, hair, and energy levels that can feel devastating. But here's the truth nobody talks about. This isn't your body failing you. This is your body going through one of the most significant transitions of your life. Just like puberty or pregnancy, your hormones, estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone fluctuating wildly before they settle into new patterns. Understanding this process is the first step to working with your body instead of against it. The average age of menopause in the United States is 51. But the perimenopause phase can last anywhere from 4 to 10 years. During this time, you might experience irregular periods, heavier or lighter bleeding, and cycles that are completely unpredictable. You might have months where you feel fantastic, followed by weeks where you feel like you're losing your mind. This is normal, and you're not alone. Let me share some statistics that might surprise you. 75% of women experience hot flashes during menopause, but only 25% of those women seek treatment. Why? Because we've been conditioned to suffer in silence, to think that this is just something we have to endure, but we don't. There are options, from hormone replacement therapy to lifestyle changes to alternative treatments. The key is finding a healthcare provider who specializes in women's health and menopause. Not all doctors are educated about the full spectrum of menopause symptoms and treatment options. You might need to advocate for yourself, do your own research, and even switch doctors to find someone who takes your concerns seriously. Now, let's talk about weight gain. The average woman gains 5 to 10 pounds during menopause, and it typically settles around the midsection. This isn't because you're eating more or exercising less, it's because your metabolism is changing. Your muscle mass naturally decreases with age, which slows your metabolic rate. Additionally, declining estrogen levels affect how your body stores fat, shifting it from your hips and thighs to your abdomen. The good news is that this isn't inevitable or irreversible. Strength training becomes absolutely crucial in your 50s. I'm not talking about becoming a bodybuilder. I'm talking about resistance exercises that help maintain and build muscle mass. This could be weightlifting, resistance bands, bodyweight exercises, or even carrying groceries and gardening. The goal is to challenge your muscles regularly. Cardiovascular exercise is also important, but it looks different at 50 than it did at 30. High-intensity workouts might leave you more exhausted than energized. Instead, focus on activities you enjoy: walking, swimming, dancing, hiking, cycling. The best exercise is the one you'll actually do consistently. Nutrition also needs to shift. Your body needs more protein to maintain muscle mass. Aim for about 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per kilogram of body weight. You might need to eat more frequently to maintain stable blood sugar levels, especially if you're experiencing mood swings or energy crashes. Calcium and vitamin D become crucial for bone health, as estrogen decline increases your risk of osteoporosis. Sleep changes dramatically during this phase. You might find yourself waking up multiple times per night, either from hot flashes, night sweats, or just general restlessness. Your sleep architecture changes as you age, with less deep sleep and more light sleep phases. This isn't just inconvenient. Poor sleep affects everything from your immune system to your mental health to your weight management. Creating a sleep sanctuary becomes essential. Keep your bedroom cool, invest in moisture-wicking sleepwear and bedding, limit screen time before bed, and establish a consistent bedtime routine. Some women find that keeping a small fan or cooling towel by their bed helps with night sweats. Others benefit from magnesium supplements or melatonin, but always consult with your healthcare provider before starting any new supplements. Your skin and hair will also change during this time. Declining estrogen affects collagen production, which can lead to drier skin, more wrinkles, and changes in skin texture. Your hair might become thinner, drier, or change texture entirely. While the beauty industry will try to sell you expensive solutions, the basics matter most: gentle cleansing, consistent moisturizing, sun protection, and staying hydrated. Here's something I wish I'd known earlier. Your body at 50 is not supposed to look or feel like your body at 30, and that's perfectly okay. The goal isn't to turn back time, it's to be the healthiest, strongest version of yourself at this stage of life. That might mean accepting some changes while actively working on others. It means finding movement that brings you joy rather than punishment. It means nourishing your body with foods that make you feel good rather than restricting and depriving yourself. The most important thing is to listen to your body and give it what it needs. Some days that might be a vigorous workout, other days it might be gentle yoga or a long walk. Some days you might crave salads and smoothies. Other days you might need comfort food, and that's okay too. The key is developing a loving, respectful relationship with your body instead of treating it like an enemy that needs to be controlled or fixed. Your mind is your superpower. Brain changes and mental health. Now let's talk about what's happening in your brain, because the changes aren't just physical. Many women in their 50s experience what's commonly called brain fog, difficulty concentrating, forgetting words, losing track of conversations, or feeling like your mental sharpness has dulled. This is real, it's common, and it's not a sign that you're losing your mind or developing dementia. During perimenopause and menopause, fluctuating hormones affect neurotransmitters in your brain, particularly those involved in memory, focus, and mood regulation. Estrogen plays a crucial role in cognitive function. So as levels decline and fluctuate, you might notice changes in your mental clarity. The good news is that for most women, these changes are temporary and improve once hormone levels stabilize after menopause. But here's what's fascinating. While you might be experiencing some temporary cognitive changes, your brain at 50 has some incredible advantages that your younger brain didn't have. Research shows that the female brain becomes more integrated in midlife. With increased communication between the left and right hemispheres, this can lead to enhanced creativity, better problem-solving abilities, and what researchers call crystallized intelligence, the ability to use accumulated knowledge and experience to make better decisions. You have 5 decades of life experience, pattern recognition, and wisdom that your 30-year-old self simply didn't possess. You can see situations more clearly, understand people's motivations better, and make decisions based on a much broader perspective. This is why many women report feeling more confident and decisive in their 50s, even if they're dealing with other challenges. However, mental health challenges are also common during this life stage, and they're not something to ignore or push through alone. Depression and anxiety rates increase during perimenopause, partly due to hormonal changes, but also due to the major life transitions that often happen during this decade. You might be dealing with aging parents, launching adult children, career changes, relationship shifts, health concerns, or financial stress. It's no wonder that this can feel overwhelming at times. The important thing to understand is that seeking help for mental health concerns isn't a sign of weakness, it's a sign of wisdom. Therapy can be incredibly beneficial during this life stage, whether you're dealing with specific challenges or just want to navigate this transition more skillfully. Cognitive behavioral therapy, mindfulness-based approaches, and even hormone therapy can all be helpful for managing mood changes related to menopause. Let's also talk about something that many women don't expect: increased confidence and assertiveness. Many women report that their 50s brought a kind of mental freedom they'd never experienced before. The constant worry about what other people think starts to fade. You become less willing to tolerate situations, relationships, or obligations that don't serve you. Some researchers call this the post-reproductive assertiveness phenomenon. Basically, your brain stops prioritizing everyone else's needs over your own. This can be incredibly liberating, but it can also be disorienting if you've spent decades being the peacekeeper, the people pleaser, or the one who always puts everyone else first. You might find yourself speaking up in situations where you would have stayed quiet before. You might set boundaries that feel uncomfortable but necessary. You might prioritize your own needs in ways that feel selfish but are actually healthy. This mental shift often coincides with what psychologists call the freedom of the empty nest. Even if you don't have children, the 50s often bring a sense of being released from certain obligations and expectations that defined your earlier adult years. You have more mental and emotional energy to invest in yourself, your interests, and your own growth. Creativity often flourishes during this time. Many women discover or rediscover artistic talents, start writing, take up photography, learn new skills, or pursue interests they never had time for before. Your brain's increased integration and reduced inhibition can lead to more creative thinking and risk-taking. Don't dismiss creative urges as frivolous. They're often signs that your brain is ready for new challenges and growth. Memory strategies become important during this phase. While some temporary memory changes are normal, you can support your cognitive function through several approaches. Regular exercise increases blood flow to the brain and promotes the growth of new brain cells. Learning new skills creates new neural pathways and keeps your brain flexible. Social engagement prevents isolation and provides cognitive stimulation. Good sleep hygiene supports memory consolidation. Nutrition also affects brain function. Omega-3 fatty acids, found in fish, walnuts, and flax seeds, support brain health. Antioxidant-rich foods like berries, leafy greens, and dark chocolate can help protect against cognitive decline. Staying hydrated is crucial, as even mild dehydration can affect concentration and memory. Stress management becomes absolutely critical. During this life stage, chronic stress floods your system with cortisol, which can interfere with memory formation and retrieval. It also exacerbates menopausal symptoms and can contribute to depression and anxiety. Finding effective stress management techniques, whether that's meditation, yoga, journaling, therapy, or simply saying no to obligations that don't serve you, isn't a luxury. It's a necessity. Here's something I want you to remember. Your mind at 50 is not a deteriorating version of your younger mind. It's a different kind of mind with different strengths and challenges. Yes, you might need to write things down more often or take longer to recall certain information, but you also have wisdom, perspective, and emotional intelligence that can't be taught. They can only be earned through experience. Your mind is not failing you. It's evolving to serve you in new ways. Relationships in your 50s. The great reshuffling. Your 50s will likely bring significant changes to your relationships. And I wish someone had prepared me for what I call the great reshuffling. This is when many of your relationships with your spouse or partner, your children, your friends, your family, and even yourself go through major shifts. Understanding that this is normal and often necessary can help you navigate these changes with more grace and less guilt. Let's start with romantic relationships. If you're married or in a long-term partnership, Your 50s might bring both challenges and opportunities. Many couples struggle during this phase because you're both changing in significant ways. The person you married at 25 or 35 is not the same person at 50, and neither are you. This can create distance and conflict, but it can also create opportunities for deeper connection if you're both willing to grow together. The empty nest syndrome is real for many couples. If your relationship has been primarily focused on raising children, you might find yourselves staring at each other across the dinner table, wondering who this person is and what you have in common. Some couples discover that they've grown apart and choose to separate or divorce. Others use this as an opportunity to rediscover each other and build a new kind of relationship based on who they are now, not who they were 20 years ago. Sexuality often changes dramatically during this phase, and it's important to talk about this openly. Declining estrogen can affect vaginal lubrication, sensitivity, and libido. Many women experience pain during intercourse, decreased interest in sex, or changes in what feels good sexually. These changes can be devastating for both partners if they're not addressed openly and compassionately. The good news is that many of these issues are treatable. Vaginal moisturizers and lubricants can help with dryness and discomfort. Hormone therapy can restore some sexual function for many women. Pelvic floor physical therapy can address pain and dysfunction. And importantly, sexuality at 50 doesn't have to look like sexuality at 30. Many couples find that they need to expand their definition of intimacy and sexual connection to include more varied forms of physical and emotional closeness. Communication becomes absolutely crucial during this phase. You need to be able to talk about what's changing in your body, what you need from your partner, and what you're experiencing emotionally. If you've never been good at direct communication, this is the time to learn. Many couples benefit from counseling during this transition, not because their relationship is failing, but because they want to navigate these changes successfully. For women who are single at 50, whether by choice, divorce, or widowhood, the dating landscape can feel intimidating but also exciting. Online dating has opened up possibilities that didn't exist for previous generations, but it also comes with its own challenges. Many women report feeling invisible in the dating world after 50. But this isn't universally true. There are plenty of men and women looking for meaningful connections at this stage of life. The key is knowing what you want and being clear about it. Many women in their 50s are no longer interested in casual dating or settling for relationships that don't truly fulfill them. You have less time and energy to waste on people who don't appreciate you or situations that don't bring you joy. This selectivity is a strength, not a limitation. Your relationships with your adult children will also likely shift during this decade. If you've been a hands-on parent, learning to step back and allow your children to make their own decisions, mistakes can be challenging. Many women struggle with feeling needed and relevant as their children become fully independent adults. This transition can be particularly difficult if your identity has been primarily centered around being a mother. But it's also an opportunity to develop adult relationships with your children based on mutual respect and genuine friendship rather than caretaking and dependency. Many women report that their relationships with their adult children become richer and more meaningful once they navigate this transition successfully. Your relationships with friends may also go through significant changes. Some friendships that were based on shared circumstances, like having children the same age or living in the same neighborhood, might naturally fade as those circumstances change. Other friendships might deepen as you have more time and energy to invest in them. Many women find that they become less tolerant of toxic or draining relationships during this phase. You might find yourself pulling away from friends who are consistently negative, who don't support your growth, or who still relate to you as the person you were rather than the person you're becoming. This can feel harsh, but it's often necessary for your own well-being. At the same time, you might find yourself craving deeper, more authentic friendships. Surface-level social connections that might have satisfied you in earlier decades might no longer feel fulfilling. You want friends who can talk about real things, who support your dreams and challenges, who celebrate your successes without jealousy, and who can be present during difficult times. Your relationship with your aging parents might also shift dramatically during this decade. Many women in their 50s find themselves in the sandwich generation, still supporting their adult children while also beginning to care for aging parents. This can be emotionally and financially challenging, and it often comes with difficult decisions about independence, safety, and end-of-life care. Having honest conversations with your parents about their wishes and expectations, while they're still healthy and capable, is crucial. Topics like healthcare decisions, financial planning, living arrangements, and end-of-life preferences are not easy to discuss, but addressing them proactively can prevent crisis-driven decisions later. Most importantly, let's talk about your relationship with yourself. This is often the relationship that undergoes the most dramatic transformation during your 50s. Many women report that they finally begin to prioritize their own needs and desires in ways they never have before. This can feel selfish if you've spent decades putting everyone else first. But it's actually essential for your well-being. Learning to say no becomes a crucial skill. No to obligations that don't align with your priorities. No to people who drain your energy. No to opportunities that don't excite you, even if they seem like things you should do. Your time and energy become more precious as you become more aware of their finite nature. Self-compassion also becomes incredibly important during this phase. You're dealing with significant changes and challenges, and being kind to yourself during this process is not optional, it's necessary. This means talking to yourself the way you would talk to a good friend going through the same struggles. It means recognizing that you're doing the best you can with the resources and knowledge you have. The relationships you cultivate and maintain during your 50s set the foundation for the rest of your life. Choose them wisely, invest in them generously, and don't be afraid to let go of connections that no longer serve your growth and happiness. Career reinvention and purpose. It's never too late. One of the biggest myths about turning 50 is that your career trajectory is set in stone, that you're too old to make significant changes, or that employers will write you off because of your age. This is not only false, it's dangerously limiting. Your 50s can be the most dynamic and fulfilling decade of your career, if you approach it strategically and with confidence. First, let's address the elephant in the room. Age discrimination is real, especially for women. Studies show that women over 50 face significant challenges in the job market, with lower callback rates for interviews and longer periods of unemployment compared to younger candidates. This is frustrating and unfair, but it's also not the whole story. Understanding these challenges allows you to strategize around them rather than being blindsided by them. The key is to position yourself not as someone who's outdated or desperate, but as someone who brings valuable experience, wisdom, and skills that younger candidates simply don't possess. You have decades of problem-solving experience, institutional knowledge, and professional relationships that can be incredibly valuable to employers. You're also likely to be more stable, reliable, and focused than younger employees who might job hop frequently or be distracted by early career uncertainties. Many women use their 50s as an opportunity to transition from employee to entrepreneur. The statistics are actually quite encouraging. Women over 50 are starting businesses at higher rates than any other demographic, and these businesses tend to be more successful than those started by younger entrepreneurs. This makes sense when you think about it. You have more life experience, better professional networks, often more financial resources, and a clearer sense of what you want to achieve. If you're considering starting your own business, your 50s might actually be the perfect time. You're likely more financially stable than you were in your 20s or 30s, which means you can take calculated risks without jeopardizing your family's immediate security. You also have a clearer sense of your strengths, interests, and values, which can help you choose ventures that align with who you are rather than just chasing trends or opportunities. The rise of the digital economy has also opened up possibilities that didn't exist for previous generations. You can start an online business, become a consultant in your area of expertise, create and sell digital products, or offer services remotely to clients around the world. Age becomes less relevant when your skills and expertise are delivered digitally. Many women also use their 50s to pivot to more meaningful work. If you've spent decades in a career that was financially necessary but not personally fulfilling, this might be the time to transition to work that aligns more closely with your values and interests. This could mean moving to the nonprofit sector, becoming a teacher or counselor, starting a business that addresses a problem you care about, or using your professional skills in service of causes you believe in. The concept of encore careers has gained popularity in recent years. These are second careers that combine personal meaning, continued income, and social impact. Many women find that their encore careers are more fulfilling than their primary careers because they're chosen from a place of wisdom and intention, rather than necessity or convention. If you're staying in your current career, your 50s can still be a time of significant growth and achievement. Many women report that they become more confident and effective leaders during this decade. You're less likely to second-guess yourself, more willing to take calculated risks, and better at navigating office politics and interpersonal dynamics. These skills can lead to promotions, new opportunities, and increased respect from colleagues. However, you might also need to actively work to stay current in your field. Technology changes rapidly, and staying relevant requires ongoing learning and adaptation. This doesn't mean you need to become a technology expert overnight, but you do need to stay informed about trends in your industry and be willing to learn new skills when necessary. Professional networking becomes crucial during this phase, but it looks different than it did in your 30s. Instead of trying to meet as many people as possible, focus on deepening relationships with people who know and respect your work. These relationships can lead to opportunities, referrals, and partnerships that might not be advertised publicly. Mentoring younger colleagues can also be incredibly rewarding and strategically smart. Sharing your knowledge and experience not only helps others, but also positions you as a valuable resource within your organization or industry. It also keeps you connected to new ideas and perspectives that can inform your own work. Financial planning becomes absolutely critical during this phase of your career. If you haven't already, you need to get serious about retirement planning. This means understanding your Social Security benefits, maximizing your retirement account contributions, and potentially working with a financial advisor to ensure you're on track for financial security in your later years. You also need to consider how long you want to work. Some women choose to work well into their 70s because they love what they do or need the income. Others want to retire as early as possible to pursue other interests. There's no right answer, but you need to plan for whatever scenario you prefer. Healthcare benefits also become a major consideration if you're thinking about leaving a traditional job. If you're married, you might be able to join your spouse's plan. If not, you'll need to research options like COBRA continuation coverage or marketplace plans. The Affordable Care Act has made it easier for people to maintain health insurance between jobs, but it's still something you need to plan for carefully. One thing I want to emphasize is that career success at 50 doesn't have to look like career success at 30. You might prioritize flexibility over salary, meaning over prestige, or work-life balance over advancement opportunities. This isn't settling, it's wisdom. You have a better understanding of what truly matters to you and what kind of work environment allows you to thrive. Don't let anyone tell you that you're too old to dream big or make significant changes. Some of the most successful businesses, artistic works, and social movements have been started by people over 50. Colonel Sanders was 62 when he franchised KFC. Laura Ingalls Wilder didn't publish her first Little House book until she was 65. Grandma Moses didn't start painting until she was 78. Your 50s are not the end of your career. They're potentially the beginning of your most meaningful and successful professional chapter. The key is to approach this decade with intention, confidence, and a willingness to adapt while staying true to your values and goals. Financial freedom and security, taking control of your future. Let's talk about money. Because financial security in your 50s is not just about numbers. It's about freedom, peace of mind, and the ability to make choices based on what you want rather than what you can afford. If you're watching this and feeling behind on your financial planning, you're not alone, and it's not too late to make significant improvements to your financial situation. First, let's acknowledge some realities. Women face unique financial challenges throughout their lives that often become more pronounced in their 50s. On average, women earn less than men, take more career breaks for caregiving responsibilities, live longer, and therefore need more retirement savings, and are more likely to be single in their later years due to divorce or widowhood. Social Security benefits are often lower for women because they're based on lifetime earnings, which are typically lower for women. These systemic challenges mean that women need to be more strategic and proactive about financial planning. But here's the empowering truth. Your 50s are actually an ideal time to take control of your financial future. You likely have higher earnings potential than you did in earlier decades, fewer child-related expenses, and a clearer understanding of your values and priorities. Let's start with retirement planning, because this is probably the most critical financial priority for women in their 50s. If you haven't been consistently saving for retirement, you need to start now and maximize your contributions. For 2025, if you're over 50, you can contribute up to $23,000 to a 401k plan, plus an additional $7,500 in catch-up contributions, for a total of $30,500 for IRAs. The contribution limit is $7,000 plus a $1,000 catch-up contribution for those over 50. If your employer offers a 401k match, make sure you're contributing enough to get the full match. This is free money that you can't afford to leave on the table. If you're self-employed or have side income, consider opening a SAPIRE or solo 401k, which allow for much higher contribution limits. The rule of thumb used to be that you should have 10 times your annual salary saved by retirement, but many financial experts now recommend having 12 times your annual salary saved by age 67. If this seems impossible based on your current savings, don't panic. Every dollar you save now has years to grow through compound interest, and there are strategies to catch up. One strategy is to dramatically increase your savings rate during your peak earning years. If you get a raise, promotion, or bonus, consider putting all or most of that additional income directly into retirement savings rather than inflating your lifestyle. If you pay off your mortgage or finish paying for your children's education, redirect those payments into retirement savings. Another strategy is to work a few years longer than you originally planned. Each additional year you work potentially adds significant value to your retirement security. You're earning and saving for one more year. You're delaying the need to withdraw from retirement accounts, and you're potentially increasing your Social Security benefits. Speaking of Social Security, understanding your benefits is crucial for retirement planning. You can create an account at ssa.gov to see your projected benefits based on different retirement ages. Your full retirement age is probably between 66 and 67, depending on when you were born. You can start collecting benefits as early as 62, but they'll be permanently reduced. If you delay collecting until age 70, your benefits will be increased. For many women, Social Security timing is complicated by marital status. If you're married, you might be eligible for spousal benefits, which can be up to 50% of your spouse's benefit amount. If you're divorced, you might be eligible for benefits based on your ex-spouse's earnings record if you were married for at least 10 years. If you're widowed, you might be eligible for survivor benefits. These rules are complex, and it's worth consulting with a financial advisor or the Social Security Administration to understand your options. Let's also talk about debt management, because carrying high-interest debt into your 50s can significantly impact your ability to save for retirement. Credit card debt is particularly dangerous because the interest rates are so high. If you're carrying credit card balances, prioritize paying them off as quickly as possible. Consider a balance transfer to a lower interest card, a personal loan with a lower interest rate, or a debt consolidation strategy. If you still have a mortgage, you need to decide whether to pay it off before retirement or maintain the mortgage and invest the extra money instead. This depends on your interest rate, your tax situation, and your risk tolerance. Generally, if your mortgage interest rate is low and you're in a high tax bracket, it might make sense to keep the mortgage and invest the money instead. But there's also psychological value to having a paid-off home, especially if you're worried about having enough. Retirement income. Healthcare costs are one of the biggest financial risks for women over 50. Medicare doesn't start until age 65, so if you retire before then, you'll need to maintain health insurance through COBRA, a marketplace plan, or a spouse's plan. Even after Medicare begins, it doesn't cover everything. Long-term care costs, which women are more likely to need due to longer life expectancy, are not covered by Medicare. Long-term care insurance is something to consider in your 50s while you're still healthy enough to qualify and young enough for the premiums to be relatively affordable. The average cost of a private room in a nursing home is over $100,000 per year, and the average stay is about 3 years. Even home health care or assisted living can cost $50,000, $75,000 per year. These costs can quickly deplete retirement savings if you're not prepared. Estate planning also becomes important during your 50s. You need a will, and you probably need other documents like a durable power of attorney for finances, a healthcare power of attorney, and possibly a living trust. If you have minor children, you need to designate guardians. If you have significant assets, you might need more sophisticated estate planning to minimize taxes and ensure your wishes are carried out. Don't forget to update your beneficiaries on all your accounts: retirement accounts, life insurance policies, bank accounts, and investment accounts. These beneficiary designations supersede what's in your will, so they need to be current and accurate. Let's talk about investing, because many women are more conservative investors than they need to be, which can hurt their long-term returns. While it's true that you have less time to recover from market downturns than you did in your 20s, you still likely have 20 to 30 years until you need to access all of your retirement funds. This means you can still benefit from the long-term growth potential of stocks. A common rule of thumb is to subtract your age from 100 to determine what percentage of your portfolio should be in stocks. So at age 55, you might have 45% in stocks and 55% in bonds and other conservative investments. However, with people living longer and needing their money to last longer, many financial advisors now recommend more aggressive allocations, such as subtracting your age from 110 or 120. Diversification is key at any age, but especially as you get older. Don't put all your money in your company's stock, even if you work for a great company. Don't put all your money in one type of investment. Spread your risk across different asset classes, geographic regions, and company sizes. Consider working with a fee-only financial advisor who can help you create a comprehensive financial plan. This is especially important if you're going through major life changes like divorce, career transition, or caring for aging parents. A good financial advisor can help you understand your options, prioritize your goals, and make sure you're on track for financial security. If you can't afford a financial advisor, there are many online resources and tools available. RoboAdvisor can provide automated investment management at a low cost. Online retirement calculators can help you determine how much you need to save. Financial education websites and books can help you learn more about investing and financial planning. One final point about money and your 50s. Don't let financial fears paralyze you from living your life. Yes, you need to be responsible and plan for the future, but you also need to balance saving for tomorrow with enjoying today. Money is a tool to create the life you want, not an end in itself. Find the balance between financial responsibility and present moment happiness that works for you. Health as your foundation. Preventive care and wellness. Your health in your 50s sets the foundation for your quality of life in your 60s, 70s, and beyond. This is the decade when prevention becomes absolutely critical, when small actions can have huge long-term consequences, and when you need to become your own best health advocate. The choices you make now about your health will literally determine whether your later years are characterized by vitality and independence, or by illness and limitation. Let's start with the screenings and preventive care that become crucial during this decade. These aren't just suggestions, they're essential for catching problems early when they're most treatable. Mammograms should happen annually starting at age 50, or earlier if you have a family history of breast cancer or other risk factors. Colonoscopies should begin at age 50 and continue every 10 years if results are normal, or more frequently if you have risk factors or abnormal results. Bone density screenings should start at menopause or age 65, whichever comes first. To check for osteoporosis, cardiovascular health becomes increasingly important as estrogen levels decline. Since estrogen provides some protection against heart disease, your doctor should be monitoring your blood pressure, cholesterol levels, and blood sugar regularly. Heart disease is the leading cause of death for women, and the risk increases significantly after menopause. Don't dismiss chest pain, shortness of breath, or unusual fatigue as just signs of aging. These could be symptoms of heart problems that need immediate attention. Skin cancer screenings should happen annually, especially if you spent a lot of time in the sun during your younger years. Many women in their 50s start noticing changes in moles, freckles, or other skin spots. Don't ignore these changes. Early detection of skin cancer can be life-saving. Eye exams become more important as you age, not just for updating your prescription but for checking for glaucoma, macular degeneration, and other age-related eye conditions. Many of these conditions have no symptoms in their early stages, so regular screenings are essential. Dental health also requires more attention during this decade. Hormonal changes can affect your gums, making them more susceptible to infection and disease. Dry mouth, which can be a side effect of medications or hormonal changes, increases your risk of cavities and gum disease. Regular dental cleanings and checkups are important, but you also need to be more vigilant about your daily oral hygiene routine. Now let's talk about nutrition, because what you eat in your 50s has a profound impact on how you age. Your nutritional needs change during this decade, and many women need to adjust their eating habits to support their changing bodies. Protein becomes more important for maintaining muscle mass. Aim for 25 to 30 grams of protein at each meal. This might mean eating larger portions of lean meats, fish, eggs, dairy, beans, or nuts than you did when you were younger. Calcium and vitamin D are crucial for bone health. You need about 1,200 milligrams of calcium per day, which you can get from dairy products, leafy greens, canned fish with bones, and fortified foods. Vitamin D helps your body absorb calcium, and many women over 50 are deficient in vitamin D. You might need supplements, especially if you don't get much sun exposure or live in a northern climate. Iron needs actually decrease after menopause, since you're no longer losing iron through menstruation, but other nutrients become more important. B vitamins, especially B12, become harder to absorb as you age, so you might need supplements. Omega-3 fatty acids support brain and heart health. Fiber becomes even more important for digestive health and disease prevention. Hydration is crucial, but often overlooked. As you age, your sense of thirst decreases, and you might not realize you're becoming dehydrated. Dehydration can cause fatigue, confusion, constipation, and other problems that are often mistaken for signs of aging. Aim for 8 to 10 glasses of water per day. More if you're active or live in a hot climate. Let's address weight management, because this is often a source of frustration for women in their 50s. Your metabolism naturally slows down as you age, primarily due to loss of muscle mass. Crash diets and extreme restrictions don't work at this age. In fact, they can be counterproductive because they often lead to muscle loss, which further slows your metabolism. Instead, focus on sustainable changes that you can maintain long-term. This might mean eating smaller, more frequent meals to keep your blood sugar stable. It might mean increasing your protein intake to support muscle maintenance. It might mean reducing processed foods and increasing whole foods. The goal isn't to achieve an unrealistic body weight, it's to reach and maintain a weight that supports your health and energy levels. Exercise becomes absolutely non-negotiable in your 50s, but it needs to be smarter and more strategic than it was in earlier decades. You need a combination of cardiovascular exercise, strength training, flexibility work, and balance training. This might sound overwhelming, but it doesn't have to be complicated or time-consuming. Cardiovascular exercise helps maintain heart health, supports weight management, and boosts mood and energy levels. This doesn't have to be intense. Brisk walking, swimming, cycling, or dancing can all provide excellent cardiovascular benefits. Aim for at least 150 minutes of moderate intensity exercise per week, which breaks down to just over 20 minutes per day. Strength training is crucial for maintaining muscle mass and bone density. You don't need to lift heavy weights or spend hours in the gym. Bodyweight exercises, resistance bands, light weights, or even carrying groceries and gardening can all contribute to strength maintenance. Aim for at least 2 strength training sessions per week that work all major muscle groups. Flexibility and balance training help prevent falls and maintain mobility as you age. Yoga, Tai Chi, or simple stretching routines can all be beneficial. Balance exercises become increasingly important because falls are a major cause of injury and disability in older adults. Sleep quality often deteriorates during menopause, but good sleep is essential for physical and mental health. Hot flashes, night sweats, and hormonal changes can all disrupt sleep patterns. Creating a sleep-conducive environment becomes crucial. Keep your bedroom cool. Invest in moisture-wicking bedding, limit screen time before bed, and establish a consistent bedtime routine. Some women benefit from sleep aids, whether over-the-counter options like melatonin or prescription medications. However, it's important to address underlying causes of sleep problems rather than just treating symptoms. This might mean managing hot flashes more effectively, reducing stress, or addressing anxiety or depression that might be interfering with sleep. Stress management becomes absolutely critical during this life stage. because chronic stress accelerates aging and increases your risk of virtually every chronic disease. The 50s often bring multiple stressors: aging parents, career pressures, financial concerns, health worries, relationship changes. Learning to manage stress effectively isn't just about feeling better in the moment, it's about protecting your long-term health. This might mean learning meditation or mindfulness techniques, developing better boundaries with work and family obligations, seeking therapy to work through difficult emotions or transitions, or simply making time for activities that bring you joy and relaxation. Regular exercise, adequate sleep, and social connections all help manage stress as well. Mental health screening and treatment also become important during this decade. Depression and anxiety are common during menopause, and they're not something you should just endure. Mental health affects physical health in profound ways, so addressing mood disorders, anxiety, or other mental health concerns is part of comprehensive healthcare. Let's talk about hormone replacement therapy, because this is often a confusing and controversial topic. Hormone therapy can be incredibly helpful for managing menopausal symptoms and may provide some protection against osteoporosis and heart disease. However, it also carries some risks, including increased risk of blood clots, stroke, and certain types of cancer. The decision about hormone therapy is highly individual and should be made in consultation with a knowledgeable healthcare provider who can assess your specific risk factors and symptoms. There are many different types and delivery methods for hormone therapy, and what works for one woman might not work for another. Alternative and complementary treatments are also worth considering. Acupuncture can help with hot flashes and other menopausal symptoms. Massage therapy can help with stress management and muscle tension. Herbal supplements like black cohosh or red clover might help some women, though the evidence is mixed, and you should always consult with your healthcare provider before starting any supplements. Building a healthcare team becomes important during this decade. You need a primary care physician who understands the unique health concerns of women over 50. You might also need specialists, like a gynecologist who specializes in menopause, a cardiologist if you have heart disease risk factors, an endocrinologist if you have diabetes or thyroid problems, or a rheumatologist if you develop arthritis or other joint problems. Don't be afraid to be an active participant in your healthcare. Come to appointments prepared with questions, keep track of your symptoms and concerns, and don't hesitate to seek a second opinion if you're not satisfied with your care. You know your body better than anyone else, and you have the right to healthcare providers who listen to your concerns and take them seriously. Finally, remember that health is not just about preventing disease, it's about maintaining the energy, strength, and vitality to live the life you want. The goal isn't to live as long as possible, regardless of quality of life. The goal is to maintain your health and independence so that you can continue to pursue your interests, maintain your relationships, and enjoy new experiences as you age. Mindset and self-discovery, becoming your most authentic self. The final piece of thriving in your 50s is perhaps the most important: developing a mindset that serves your growth and happiness rather than limiting your possibilities. This is the decade when many women finally give themselves permission to be authentically themselves, often for the first time in their lives. But this transformation doesn't happen automatically. It requires intentional work on your mindset, beliefs, and relationship with yourself. Let's start by addressing the pervasive ageism in our culture that can profoundly affect how women over 50 see themselves and their possibilities. We live in a society that often treats women as if they become invisible after 50, as if their value decreases with each passing year. This messaging is everywhere in media representations, in workplace dynamics, in social interactions, and unfortunately, it can become internalized in ways that limit how we see ourselves and what we believe is possible for our lives. Challenging these internalized beliefs is crucial for thriving in your 50s. You are not less valuable, less capable, less attractive, or less worthy of happiness and success because you're over 50. In fact, you bring wisdom, experience, and perspective to everything you do that simply can't be acquired any other way. The key is learning to see these qualities as assets rather than consolation prizes. One of the most liberating aspects of reaching your 50s is what I call the freedom from approval seeking. Many women report that they care less about what other people think during this decade. And this isn't because they become callous or inconsiderate. It's because they finally understand that you can't please everyone, and trying to do so is exhausting and ultimately futile. This freedom can be disorienting at first, especially if you've spent decades being the people pleaser, the peacekeeper, or the one who always puts everyone else's needs first. You might find yourself speaking up in situations where you would have stayed quiet before. You might set boundaries that feel uncomfortable but necessary. You might make choices based on what you want rather than what you think you should want. This is all part of what psychologists call individuation, the process of becoming more fully yourself rather than who you think you're supposed to be. It's a natural part of human development, but it often accelerates during midlife, when you have enough life experience to understand what truly matters to you and what self-compassion becomes absolutely crucial during this process. You're going to make mistakes as you learn to navigate this new way of being in the world. You might set boundaries clumsily, speak up at the wrong times, or make choices that don't work out as planned. This is all part of the learning process, and it's important to treat yourself with the same kindness you would show a good friend going through the same struggles. Many women also experience what researchers call post-reproductive assertiveness, a biological and psychological shift that makes them less willing to sacrifice their own needs for others. This can feel selfish if you're not used to prioritizing yourself, but it's actually a healthy and necessary part of this life stage. You have limited time and energy, and learning to invest them wisely is not selfish, it's wise. This doesn't mean becoming self-centered or inconsiderate of others' needs. It means finding a balance between caring for others and caring for yourself, between being generous and being discerning about where you invest your time and energy. It means understanding that saying no to things that don't serve you creates space to say yes to things that do. The concept of enough becomes important during this decade. Enough achievement, enough approval, enough possessions, enough obligations. Many women report that their 50s brought a sense of contentment and gratitude that they hadn't experienced before, not because their lives became perfect, but because they developed a better appreciation for what they already had. This doesn't mean settling or giving up on dreams and goals. It means pursuing growth and new experiences from a place of abundance rather than scarcity, from curiosity rather than desperation, from joy rather than fear. When you're not constantly trying to prove your worth or fill some internal void, you can make choices based on genuine interest and passion. Creativity often flourishes during this life stage, partly because you're less concerned with external validation and more interested in personal expression. Many women discover or rediscover artistic talents, start writing, take up photography, learn new skills, or pursue interests they never had time for before. Don't dismiss these creative urges as frivolous. They're often signs that you're ready for new forms of growth and self-expression. The relationship you have with your body often shifts significantly during this decade, and this can be either liberating or challenging, depending on how you approach it. Many women struggle with the physical changes that come with aging: weight gain, wrinkles, gray hair, changes in energy levels. But others report feeling more comfortable in their bodies than ever before, not because their bodies haven't changed, but because they've developed a more accepting and appreciative relationship with their physical selves. Learning to see your body as an ally rather than an enemy is transformative. Your body has carried you through 5 decades of life, adapted to pregnancy and childbirth if you had children, recovered from illnesses and injuries, and continues to serve you every single day. Instead of focusing on how it's changed or what you perceive as flaws, try focusing on what it does for you and how you can support its health and vitality. The concept of legacy becomes more important during this decade, but not necessarily in the traditional sense of leaving money or property to your children. Many women become interested in the impact they want to have on the world, the values they want to pass on, the problems they want to help solve, or the people they want to mentor and support. This might manifest as volunteering for causes you care about, mentoring younger women in your field, sharing your knowledge and experience through writing or speaking, or simply being a positive influence in your community. The goal isn't necessarily to do something that will be remembered for generations. It's to live in alignment with your values and contribute to something larger than yourself. Spirituality, however you define it, often becomes more important during this life stage. This doesn't necessarily mean organized religion, though it might. It might mean a connection to nature, a sense of purpose larger than yourself, a practice of gratitude and mindfulness, or simply a deeper appreciation for the mystery and beauty of life. Many women report that their 50s brought a sense of spiritual deepening that enhanced their overall sense of well-being and meaning. The practice of gratitude becomes particularly powerful during this decade. Not toxic positivity or denial of real problems, but genuine appreciation for the good things in your life, however small they might seem. Research shows that regular gratitude practice can improve physical health, mental health, sleep quality, and overall life satisfaction. It can also help counteract the tendency to focus on losses and challenges that naturally come with aging. Learning to live with uncertainty becomes an important skill during this decade. Your 50s often bring an increased awareness of mortality, not in a morbid way, but in a way that makes you more conscious of time as a finite resource. This can be anxiety-provoking, but it can also be motivating. When you understand that your time is limited, you become more intentional about how you spend it. Finally, let's talk about the concept of wisdom. Wisdom isn't just the ability to apply knowledge skillfully in complex, ambiguous situations. It's the understanding that most situations are more nuanced than they appear, that most people are doing the best they can with the resources they have, and that life is both more difficult and more beautiful than you understood when you were younger. This wisdom is one of the greatest gifts of reaching your 50s. You've lived long enough to see patterns, to understand consequences, to appreciate complexity. You've made mistakes and learned from them. You've faced challenges and discovered your own resilience. You've experienced loss and found that you can survive it. You've had moments of joy and learned to appreciate them more fully. This wisdom doesn't make life easier, but it makes you more equipped to handle whatever comes. It gives you perspective during difficult times and deeper appreciation during good times. It allows you to be more patient with yourself and others, more accepting of imperfection, more focused on what truly matters. Your 50s are not about winding down or preparing for decline. They're about stepping into the fullest expression of who you are, informed by everything you've learned and experienced. They're about using your remaining years, which could be 30 or 40 more years, intentionally and joyfully. They're about becoming the woman you were always meant to be, finally free from many of the constraints and expectations that limited you in earlier decades. As we wrap up this conversation, I want you to remember the most important message. Your 50s are not the beginning of the end. They're the beginning of a new and potentially extraordinary chapter of your life. Everything we've discussed today, the physical changes, the relationship shifts, the career opportunities, the financial planning, the health priorities, and the mindset transformations, all of these are tools to help you not just survive this decade, but thrive in it. Let me recap the 7 key insights that can transform your experience of being over 50. First, your body is not betraying you, it's evolving. Understanding and working with these changes, rather than fighting them, will serve you much better. Take care of your health proactively, find a movement that brings you joy, and develop a loving relationship with your body as it is now. Second, your mind is your superpower. The wisdom, experience, and perspective you've gained are invaluable assets. Yes, you might need to write things down more often, but you also have judgment and insight that can't be taught, only earned through experience. Third, relationships will go through significant changes, and that's okay. Some relationships will deepen, others will fade, and new ones will form. Focus on connections that support your growth and happiness, and don't be afraid to let go of those that don't. Fourth, your career can flourish in new ways during this decade. Whether you're climbing the corporate ladder, starting your own business, or transitioning to more meaningful work, your 50s can be professionally rewarding if you approach them strategically. Fifth, financial security is within your reach. If you take action now, it's not too late to improve your financial situation, but you need to be intentional and possibly aggressive about saving and planning for your future. Sixth, your health is your foundation for everything else. Preventive care, good nutrition, regular exercise, adequate sleep, and stress management aren't luxuries, they're necessities for maintaining your quality of life as you age. And finally, developing a mindset that serves your growth and authenticity is the key to thriving. Give yourself permission to be yourself, set boundaries, pursue your interests, and live according to your values rather than others' expectations. Remember, every woman's journey through her 50s will be different. What works for me might not work for you, and that's perfectly okay. The key is to stay curious, stay open to growth, and stay committed to creating a life that feels authentic and fulfilling to you. Before you go, I want to challenge you to take one concrete action based on what we've discussed today. Don't try to change everything at once. That's overwhelming and unsustainable. Instead, choose one area that resonates most strongly with you and commit to taking one small step this week. Maybe that's scheduling a health screening you've been putting off. Maybe it's having an honest conversation with your partner about changes you're experiencing. Maybe it's updating your resume or researching that business idea you've been thinking about. Maybe it's opening a retirement account or increasing your savings rate. Maybe it's setting a boundary with someone who's been draining your energy. Maybe it's signing up for a class or activity that interests you. Whatever it is, make it specific. Make it small enough that you'll actually do it, and make it something that moves you toward the life you want to create in this decade. I also want to encourage you to connect with other women who are going through similar experiences. The isolation and shame that many women feel about aging are largely unnecessary and counterproductive. Find your tribe, whether that's online, communities, local groups, friends, or family members who can support and celebrate this journey with you. Share this video with women in your life who might benefit from hearing these messages. Comment below and let me know which insight resonated most strongly with you, or share your own wisdom about navigating your 50s. Your experience and perspective matter, and sharing them helps other women feel less alone in this journey. Finally, remember that turning 50 is not something that happens to you, it's something you get to experience. It's a privilege that not everyone receives, and it comes with opportunities and possibilities that are unique to this life stage. Embrace it, celebrate it, and make the most of it. Your 50s can be the most empowering, authentic, and fulfilling decade of your life if you approach them with intention, wisdom, and courage. You have everything you need within you to not just survive this transition, but to thrive in it. The world needs what you have to offer, and you deserve to live fully and joyfully at every stage of your life. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Here's to making your 50s absolutely extraordinary.